Hello everyone, Kirk here, Kirk's Motorrad shop in Crystal Lake, Illinois, bringing you a do-it-yourself video. This video is going to be on how to both change out the entire reservoir here on, this is a K1600 GT. It's going to be the same on so many of these late model bikes. Anyways, the reason the guy wants this changed out is it did get into a wreck and broke the end off here. And it also broke the casing itself. If it was just the handle, we would be able to just replace only the handle. But in this case, that part snapped off, as well as it got the case part of it here. It must have snapped back really hard in this direction, and it, broke out the case. So he wants it for aesthetic reasons. It still functions just fine. There's nothing wrong with the way this clutch operates. It's just he wants it to look a little better, so I'm going to go ahead and change that out. What he did was he picked up a unit off of eBay or somewhere, maybe a salvage. It's going to be the same deal here. And what I really like about these late model bikes is they're so much easier to change. I mean, really, I'm hoping, unless something goes horribly wrong here, it's really going to be just a very easy change. You got your two connection points right here. Okay, you just show it on this one here. Man, you take this thing off of here and the whole unit will come off. You got the wire here. This is the wire connection. Now what we're going to do here, instead of trying to find where this plug goes down underneath, it's pretty much underneath the gas tank, what we're going to do is just start by removing that screw. Okay, so up underneath here there's going to be a screw. It's going to look like this on the plug. There's this little screw right there. I'm going to pull that screw off and then just remove this micro switch entirely and just transfer it over right there. You can see on the bottom side of it there's the screw, and there's the little alignment pinhole, and it just is going to align when we reattach it there. And hey, if you do appreciate these videos and you like what you see here, I would encourage you to check the link down below in the description on how to help support the work that I do here in creating these videos. They really are a lot of work. Doing the labor part is probably the easiest part of this. The tough part comes in when it comes time to edit, and there's a lot of time that gets spent in editing, and I always appreciate any financial help that you guys help with, whether it's through direct means like with the Patreon, or if it's through smaller means such as even just using the links that are down in the description when it comes to like my Amazon page and areas like that. Anyways, one more thing. If you are trying to get a hold of me and you see that I don't respond in, say, a timely manner or something, do check your spam folder for my response. I am still having issues where my emails coming back to people are going into their spam folder for whatever reason. It comes from a Gmail account, and I don't know how to fix it. I've gone in there and changed things, had another guy look at it, one of our club members who helped me look through the email to see what was going on, and thought we had it figured out, but I just heard recently that I'm still getting emails sent to spam. So anyways, let's get back on with this project. So other than removing this down here, we're gonna pull out, this is mineral oil now inside this. On these late model bikes, they use mineral oil. You can get it from the BMW dealer. You can also use it's called Magura Blood. It's a mineral oil. Anyways, it's a purified mineral oil, specifically developed for clutches, for the slave cylinders, and definitely encourage you to use that. Do not use DOT brake fluid in here. No DOT 3, 4, 5.1. Use mineral oil. It says it right on the cap too. This is a T20 bit up here. We're going to open this up. And we're going to go ahead and then suck out what's in this. It's pretty dark. Now, another thing, when you're dealing with the mineral oil that's in these things, you don't want to contaminate it with any other type of brake fluid. If you've got, whether it's a big syringe or whatever you're using to pull this out of here, don't contaminate it with other products. So whether it's oils or greases or anything, use something fresh and use it as a dedicated means of removing this stuff. Okay, let's see. It's pretty dark, actually, quite dark. A lot of sediment down in there too. This bike is, I think, a 2012, maybe 20. You know what? It's old enough. That's what it is. It doesn't matter how old this thing is. It's old enough that it needs to get this changed out every once in a while. I mean, look at how dark it is. It's real dark. There's quite a bit of sediment inside here. You can see on my fingertip. So I'm going to wipe all this out and clean all this area out. But I don't really need to. If I was just flushing this out, I would, wipe all this out, get it all cleaned up. In the case of this particular one, I don't need to do that because I'm changing out the whole system anyway. So I'm going to dispose of this and I will be right back. Now, some of you might be curious as to why there's the syringe, this hose, and then this, what appears to be a fuel line. Well, you're right, this is a fuel line. And the reason it is so, I have this neck down to this size, is because as we move on to the flushing part, this is the bleeder. It is super tiny. You're going to have to order one of these bleeders off of BMW's website, whether it's through Max BMW or whatever. You'll find these on the Microfiche. You're going to need to get a very small bleeder. I think it's like a 3mm bleeder or something. Anyways, it's small enough that it's going to be able to fit onto this little piece of fuel line here, and I'll be able to do the flush. This is not typical. It's not a typical flush where you pour stuff in at the top and you bleed it at the bottom. This one in the book actually calls for you have to push the fluid in from the slave cylinder up through the reservoir, and that's how we're going to do this flush. But let's continue on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cover and put that over the paint here. And it's not because the mineral oil is going to hurt it, the paint. It's not. It's just going to make a mess when I loosen this thing off. Take this little rubber piece off of here. If these break, like this one's actually breaking because there's a little tab on there that goes up through. There's a little hole. Usually you can reuse these, but in this case, this bike's pretty old, so you can see it's kind of dry rotted, and I'll be able to use zip ties or replace them, with new ones. There's the little micro switch. Pulled off. All right, now on the underside of the reservoir, you're going to pull off this banjo bolt. It is a T40 bit, and that's when you're going to have to be prepared for a little bit of leak down when it comes to the brake fluid that's in there. And now we're ready to pull off the whole thing. So on the top here you got two T25. There we go. Now you can see down in the bottom of this thing, look at all that. Hopefully it's picking it up on the camera, but you can really see the amount of sludge that's in the bottom of this thing. So guys, I really would encourage you to flush out your reservoir every once in a while. Maybe every 5 years or something. It shouldn't be that nasty in there. It really should be cleaner than that. It's probably water contamination or something that gets in there. Mineral oil really isn't, what is it, hydroscopic, that pulls moisture out of the air. But obviously it does something. There's really no locator marks on this thing, so it's going to be feel for you. You know, if you when you're on the bike, if the thing feels like it's a little bit too tall, just loosen these off and rotate it down a little bit. So the torque spec on these two bolts right here is 5 Newton meters. If you don't have something that goes down to 5 Newton meters, really just snug it up. You don't want to over torque it. 5 Newton meters is just about nothing when it comes to the amount of torque, and you don't want to do anything that would strip those out. Hopefully you guys will never have to really do this procedure, but if you do, 5 Newton meters. The other one down here below, this is the banjo bolt. That is that one is going to be 18 Newton meters, and you want to make sure that you change out your little washers on there. You can use aluminum ones, you can use the copper ones, but do change out the copper or the crush washers at the bottom before you torque that down. Guys, if you don't have a torque wrench that reads in Newton meters, of course you can do the conversion online to inch pounds, but I would really encourage you to get the proper tools. There we go. One more thing to do. I have to hook up the micro switch back into its spot. Alright, that's all snugged up. Just move after you do that, move this in. Make sure you can hear a little click. You can hear it? It's good to go. Okay, on with the bleeding procedure now. So on the top here, right here in this spot, you're going to see a little tiny grub screw down in there. And that thing is, I believe it's 2.5 millimeters. Yeah, it's 2.5 millimeters with a little Allen grub screw. You really should remove your shift linkage, which is right here, and it has an inverted Torx bit on the top. Most of us in the real world don't have those tools, so if you'd like to use a 1/4 inch socket, okay, just a 1/4 inch 6-point socket, it will fit on there quite nicely. And you should be able to get that thing going. You just remove this. So there's a little alignment line right on this shaft that's sticking out here, and that is going to be, it's going to go right in between, right where the little crack is there, okay, to realign it. If you get it off just a little bit, it's just going to move your toe, it's going to move it up and down a little bit. So just pull that straight off. You have to remove the bolt out of there completely in order to get that out. Just set it, kind of move it away. Alright, now we've got enough room to get in here. And we're going to remove this. And then we're going to replace it with that very small bleeder. Okay, that's the little tiny bleeder that's going to go right back into that spot. So, there we go. The rag, because I'm sure it's going to come leaking out of there, because of course it will. Bleeder back in there. Now what we're going to do is take our syringe, we're going to fill this up, push it up so it really gets all of the air that we can out of this thing. Then I'm going to affix it to the bleed screw, and then I'm going to loosen this off, and I'm going to inject new fluid back through the unit up into the reservoir up top. So today I'm going to be using, whoop, there we go. I'm going to be using the blue V10 hydraulic clutch fluid. You can also use, if you need to use it, or you have this one, it's the Magura blood. Okay, you can use this one as well. But I've got the BMW one, so might as well do it. I'm going to purge out all of the air that I can. Okay, now I've got this on there. Now I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to slowly put some through it. Hopefully it won't pop off of there. It shouldn't. And I'm going to watch the top, make sure it starts filling up. Yep, and now it's filling up in the reservoir up top. I can see it up there starting to go in. About half full right now. Okay, what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to close this off because it's about halfway full. Leave that stick in there for just a minute, and I am going to now go up top and pull out the additional stuff that's up in there, because it's really super dark and I want this to be fully flushed out. Alright, I emptied that out up top again, so I'm going to fill it up one more time and then close this off. Yeah, that looks a lot more clean up top now. So you can see I still have some left in the syringe, but I'm not gonna force this all the way through. What I want to do now is pull this off and put the grub screw back in it. I'm going to use the rest of this up top and fill up the reservoir up there once I know for certain that it is indeed flushed and working properly. So the instructions do say to remove your bleed screw. Now if you get a little dust cap for this on your bike, if you get a dust cap, you can just go ahead and leave that bleed screw in there and put your dust cap on, and then you know, you've got a bleeder in there for the next time you do this, and you can forego the grub screw. However, I'm going to use this little bleeder in the next bike I do. Alright, tighten that down. Good. So before I put the linkage back on here, I just want to reach up top now and make sure that there actually is, you're getting pressure in the clutch. And indeed I am getting pressure. So as I pull the clutch in, I can feel that it's actuating. There's no air in the system right now. This is a very good bleed on this. So I'm going to go ahead now and reinstall my shift linkage. And I'm going to line up the little indicator. Get this out of here. There we are, right there. And I believe this is going to get torqued down to 8 Newton meters. Hopefully I can get the wrench in there. I don't know. Let's see. Yep, I can. There we go, 8 Newton meters. There we go. So the last thing now I'm going to do is just put in the rest of this here, as well as top it up with the remainder that's in this. And oh, there we go. Right to the max line. So it takes one bottle of this. Okay, 3.38 fluid ounces or 100 milliliters. If you really go crazy with the flush, obviously you're going to burn through more of this, but as you can see, pretty much used every last drop of it. And it is right up to the max fill line. So the last procedure that you're going to do is when you put your cap back on here and you wipe everything up, just make sure everything's sealed up. You want to take your handlebars and go all the way to the left. Make sure that your actuation is good, like you got good actuation. Go all the way to the right, make sure that you got actuation, and then you're done. So that's how you flush the clutch, as well as changing out the entire assembly itself. If you do appreciate these videos, again, I would ask that you check out the links that are right down in the description below. Also, if you'd like for me to work on your bike, hit me up at kirksmotorrad.com, and who knows, maybe you're going to see your bike right here on my lift. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.